to episode 13 of Arcadiology, where we dig up your favorite arcade relics. My name is Jordan Carruthers. I'm here with my best friends in the world. We got some Brad Wiggin.
What up?
We got some Sky Wiggin.
Yo.
And we got some Kyle Wiggin.
Saw, dudes.
And, ladies and gentlemen, that's not it. For the first time on Arcadiology, we have a very special guest with us. Mike from the Old Switch-a-roo Podcast. Hello!
Hello. Glad to be the first one here.
My man, how you feeling, man? You excited to be on here with us?
I am. I'm looking forward to this, because I've heard all your episodes, and I'm looking forward to talking about a game that is a franchise that we've already covered on the Old Switch-a-roo for 2 episodes worth. So,
wonderful. All right, well, go ahead. This is your chance, man. Tell us all about the Old Switch-a-roo, my friend.
Yeah, so the Old Switch-a-roo is a retro podcast I'm doing with my friend JMO. He and I go back to kindergarten. And so our goal is to try to go through all the retro games that are available through the Nintendo Switch online service. So that covers a selection of games from NES, SNES, Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced, N64, and they got the Sega Genesis on there as well, somehow. So there's a bit over 250 games, and currently we've gotten through about 40 of them.
Already, dang, you guys are just cruising right through them. Now, do you have a plan for what happens whenever you go through all the games? I mean, I know they release more, but...
Yeah, either a very comfortable retirement, or by that point we see whether or not they add another console. So if something like the GameCube shows up on there, that would give us a bit of extra time.
GameCube's my favorite console. That's just me, though.
GameCube's legit. GameCube and Dreamcast, we play those quite a bit.
Dreamcast, wow.
There's some nice additions.
Yeah, the Dreamcast would be nice to see. Also get that treatment. For some reason, that feels like more of a reach for that or the Saturn.
Yeah.
But there's some connection with Sega games getting on there, so we'll take what we can get.
Absolutely. Genesis was my first console, and I was a Sega Saturn kid, but I never had Dreamcast, personally.
Dang, you're missing out, dude.
Yeah, JMO had all of those, and I think the Dreamcast was the first console where I owned a game, but not the console. I bought Star Wars Demolition for that, because it was like, I want to play this. I don't have this console. Never owned the console. Owned a game for it. We just show up with it.
You're halfway there.
Yeah, you're partway there. All right, well, Mike, I have one very important question for you before we get started here.
All right.
How do you feel about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Oh, here we
game?
go. His first opportunity.
I'm going to come up with the most controversial answer here, which is I've never played it.
I like that answer.
Oh, that's all right.
That's actually a good answer.
That's fine. Yeah, that's okay.
Now there's no nostalgia bias or anything. He can give a real review on it.
Absolutely. If he ever wants to play it and hop on again, let us know all about it. I'm totally for it, man.
Jordan abusing his power here.
I just wanted to see. I just wanted another opinion. He could have said it was terrible. I don't know, but I just wanted to, give him a chance.
That's what I thought he was setting up.
Yeah, no,
it's okay. We're still safe for now.
For me.
That's okay, man. You check it out at some point and you let us know.
I will get on that.
My man. All right. Anyway, boys, we always start this the same way. Tell me about what you're playing besides for our game of the evening.
I haven't really been playing a whole lot. I've mostly just been messing with Clone Hero. If anyone doesn't know what that is, it's basically just Guitar Hero, but for PC. You can just download it for free and download a bunch of different song packs and all the games. And then it's the pain with it is, though, it's hard to find the equipment because guitars for Guitar Hero either they're all broken or they're hard to find and people jack up the prices on them. So I've been struggling trying to find them at a decent price. I picked one up at Goodwill for $35 for a PS2 one, which is actually my preferred one because I'd rather have a wired one rather than wireless, so you don't have to mess with the latency and stuff. But I've mostly just been tinkering with that, trying to get that all set up. It's been a bit of a hassle, but still progress.
I have a confession to make. I wasn't super huge into Guitar Hero, but there was one version of Guitar Hero that I played more than any other one, and it's absolutely not the version you're expecting.
Oh, what is it?
I played the hell out of the Nintendo DS version of Guitar Hero back in the day.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Me neither.
It's a thing. I still have it. I will bring it over next game night. You guys can check it out. It's kind of sick.
Is it any good?
Yeah, man. It's not bad. I mean, it's I don't know. It's not as fun, I would imagine, as playing with the actual guitar peripheral. But I'll let you guys try it out. I think it's a good time for a handheld game.
Wait, if you're playing this on PC, can you just use your keyboard?
Yeah, you can. You can play the keyboard, you can play the controller, whatever you want to hook up, but I mean, that's not really all that fun, you know?
Yeah, but what if you're having a hard time finding the guitar? What I would do is I would program it to the keyboard, and then you can pick your keyboard up and hold it like a guitar.
Put a strap on it, man.
Yeah.
There's
and
an
then you're good to go.
So a keytar.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Make a custom
Wait, hold on.
guitar.
Wanted one
We
of
gotta
those.
pause this. That's trademark. That's patented.
I have a quick side rant real quick about when I was looking for this guitar. I went to Goodwill, where they just get like all their stuff donated to them. And while I was there looking for the guitar, I seen in the case, I seen 2 Game Boy games. One was Pokemon Blue on top, and I seen a red cartridge underneath. I was like, oh shit, that must be Pokemon Red. But it's like in this glass case. So I asked them to get it out. I was like, oh, I want to see how much it is. I want to see what the other one is. As she's pulling it out, I'm like trying to like peer under it a little bit because that's where the price tag was. And I see like a 5. I'm like, oh, it's like $15. I'm like, that's sweet. I'll snag them up. She flips it over $55. Flips over the other one $60. I was like, oh my god. Like, as she pulled it out, I was like, oh. I was like, oh, never mind. You can put those away. I don't want anything to do with that.
I get it. I definitely get it.
Dang. That's a full
That is
AAA
taking
title.
Nintendo games never go on sale way too far.
Right.
Yeah, they maintain their value forever.
I mean, they're classics, but oof, that's a steep price.
Yeah, I don't even have a Game Boy. I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna play them, but it'd be cool to have just because it was such a fun game from our childhood.
You're out here.
You're doing what Mike did, man. You just bought the game
That's what
first.
I was gonna say.
I mean, you guys have seen my game room. I have all those old cartridges and like 20 Game Boys just like stacked up with each other on display.
All right, that's it for that one. You guys can hop in now.
I mean, I haven't really been playing anything this past week. It's been a lot of work, a lot of gym, a lot of rock climbing.
Oh man, all work and no play for Kyle, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still playing Dead Cells. I haven't branched out anything new recently. Still stuck on Boss Cell 4. I cannot beat that. It's too freaking hard.
Well, Mike, you got anything fun for us then, since no one else has a whole lot going on this time?
Well, I've just jumped into a game that I feel like I'm going to regret having bought, which is, I think it's pronounced Balatro or Balatro. If you've heard of this at all, it is a roguelite deck builder, but the premise of it is basically you're playing poker. And so the deck you're starting with is like a standard 52 card deck that you then, as you go through, get to sort of modify. So there's a bunch of jokers that you can get that all have multipliers and all kinds of stuff, and you can upgrade the standard 52 cards in various ways. Change suits, change ranks, multipliers, all kinds of things, with the idea that you're trying to just keep getting certain chip counts based off of the hands you're playing. And I have a very, very bad feeling this is going to take up a whole lot of time for me now. It is weirdly addictive because it starts with a basic framework where it's like, I know how poker works. That's easy. And then it gets really difficult. But it kind of gets past that, like, the learning phase. It kind of feels like you're already well in, because if you already know the poker hands, that's like the first stage of this. So it's really fun, and I'm probably only like an hour or 2 or 3 in.
I've heard a lot of people talking about that lately.
Yeah, I've seen it around.
I've never heard of it.
I don't know anything about poker, so I would suck.
Everyone I've heard talk about it says they don't really know about poker, but that it's still something you can hop into fairly easily.
I know the hands, I just don't know what beats what typically.
Knowing the hands is most of it. And it actually will let you know like which payouts you're going for as you're selecting, because it's basically you have like 8 or 9 cards normally. And so you select which cards you want to play as your hand, and so it will let you know, you are playing a straight, it is going to be this many base points versus, a flush or whatever. So you can kind of see a little bit of what's going to come out from it. Yeah.
So it's like it kind of handholds you a little bit if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and it also helps because then you start doing things like you can level up a full house so it's more points kind of stuff. So a little bit of it is also keeping track of that.
I like when games, they take like a classic game like that and just beef it up with all kinds of like new rules and mechanics. Makes it more fun.
Yeah, and I think I haven't messed with this, but I think I've heard that. So there's a bunch of cards that you will unlock as you play. I think the game has an option to just say, please just unlock all of that, and I will play without achievements, but I immediately have everything, which is sort of a neat... This feels like a game that should be like microtransactioning me to death and is not.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, only $20 you can unlock an extra Joker card.
See, I feel like you guys are always like, you're always playing these interesting, unique games that I've typically never heard of. And I'm over here every week saying, yeah, I've been playing a lot of Madden. I've been playing some old school RuneScape still. And I've also jumped into Pokemon X again a little bit. I'm always playing something Pokemon related. X and Y are my second favorite generation. So I kind of just picked that up again. And then also I just jumped into the other day a ROM hack called Pokemon Crystal Legacy that I've been watching a lot of videos of on YouTube. It's by a guy named like The Smith Plays, or I think he also has a channel, Smith Plays Pokemon, where he talks about this ROM hack. But it's a very simple hack. It's not as crazy as most ROM hacks are with Pokemon. It's very much just, it's Pokemon Crystal, but it's just more balanced. Because Crystal is, while it is my favorite Pokemon game, it is a little unbalanced at times. So that's pretty much what this ROM hack is. It's just making the game more or less better. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. No poker, no, what's this guy's game, Dead Cells or something, or no online Guitar Hero, nothing fancy. Keeping it simple as always. Anybody else have anything to add before we jump on into the main event?
I'm all set.
Yep, I'm
Let's
good.
jump, dude.
Cool. So if we're all ready to go, gonna get started talking about our game for the episode. Let's break it down. Joe and Mac returns. Joe and Mac Returns is a single-screen platformer developed by Data East and released in 1994. Your objective is to eliminate all the enemies on the screen and move on to the next stage. There's multiple levels, each containing multiple stages within them, and you'll fight a boss at the end of each level. Joe and Mac attack enemies using their clubs, and also by stuffing the stunned enemies into a bag and throwing them at each other, interestingly enough. Now guys, if there is one thing I learned rather quickly about this game, it's that these guys have one mission, and that's the cease and titties.
Yeah, pretty much.
At the end of every level, it shows these two guys just finding different ways to see the cave women naked in any way that they possibly can. Every level never fails.
And with a weird laugh track, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, the laugh track was an interesting choice.
That went over my head, but you're totally right.
Yeah, it's weirdly timed. Like, it's not where you'd expect it to be. So it was just like, that's a laugh track that missed where you would even put that if you were doing this on purpose. It was odd, and it took this franchise to a place that I was not expecting. Like, they're chasing cave women in all of the games. That's consistent, but the first one, I think the first game, they've been kidnapped, and so they're trying to, like, get the cave women back. And then the third, it's a very confusing franchise. They did Joe and Mac, and they have an entirely unrelated game, basically, as the second game. And then Joe and Mac 2. And in Joe and Mac 2, in another questionable choice about how these games deal with women, has the game where you basically just give flowers to one of 3 women behind a curtain until she likes them and marries you.
That makes sense.
I'm not familiar with this franchise at all, but
I've never heard of it.
We weren't, or at least I wasn't, until we decided to go into those games. JMO was actually familiar with them, and we ended up with very different opinions on which game was good. And both of those were side-scrolling platformers, so they weren't even this same format as this.
They completely changed the style of game for this one.
Yeah, it's weird, and I think the second of the Joe and Mac games that we covered came out the same year as this did in the arcades, so I think I tried to figure it out, and I have legitimately no idea which came first. Very confused about the timeline.
Makes me want to check out some of the other ones.
yeah, it's not a franchise I've ever heard of, but that's definitely the thing I've kind of picked up on is that they just love some cave bitches, man. That's all that they care about at the end of the day.
Is this our first single? Well, I guess WrestleFest kind of was, but not really. Is this our first single screen game where you're like locked into frame and you can just like see everything at once? I think it is.
This is definitely like even more than WrestleFest because you can at least move around the ring. This is
True.
you can see the entire screen at one time, and I kind of liked it. I mean, I'm not big on
Yeah.
platformers, but for some reason, the fact that it's all just on one solid screen and I'm not moving forward and can't see what's coming next makes it a little better.
I agree.
I feel like it's less platformer and more things happen on platforms. Like, there wasn't too much where it was like, I missed a jump and there was a problem.
Yes, and that's always my biggest issue with platformers is I'm just very bad at aiming the jumps. And yeah, you're right. This is it's not about aiming your jump really. It kind of is just there's things on platforms and you have to kind of more or less just time when to jump on a platform to attack an enemy so that you don't get hit yourself. So it's more timing than accuracy based.
Kind of like Metal Slug, it's just chaos. It happens on platforms.
I think this is way more tame than Metal Slug though. Metal Slug was wild. It was so hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Even it was so chaotic.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there.
Kind of seems like that same style, just locked into one screen. Like the platforms weren't a huge part of the gameplay.
Right.
No, that was like one level or something. So, one thing, did you guys tend to get so there's power-ups in the game as there is with like every arcade game. Did you guys manage to get them like in the middle of the levels because it seemed like I was always getting the power-ups like at the very end of a stage as it's ending and then it's kind of just wasted.
I mean, it kind of depends.
You can get them earlier, especially by rescuing the cave women. It just seemed like it always gave me power-ups like right at the end of every stage and it didn't help me then at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you just rescued the girl early on, then you would get the power up, and then it's not like it went away. You would keep it. Well, most of them carried over. There were a couple that were limited though.
Did they carry over? I
Yeah.
didn't pay enough
I think,
attention
like,
to tell if they were.
Like the weapon power-ups, like the you get like the stone wheel that you can throw. That one doesn't carry over.
Right.
But like I think getting like the club upgrade, and I actually don't think the speed upgrade carries over either. It's like a short burst of speed.
It does, like the roller skates. Those carry over.
Yeah. But are they
your guy
timed?
does like front flips. It's unlimited until you die.
Maybe I just died too many times.
Yeah. That could have been it.
I think it was also if you were really taking advantage of getting as many enemies knocked out and into that sack at once, then it really upped the chances of getting things. Like, it took a while to start to figure out how it handed out power-ups, because I think the other thing is that if you basically threw an enemy over certain parts of the screen, you would get power-ups that way as well sometimes.
So I must have just been bad at finding the way that you got them.
Yeah, because there were, like he was saying, there's a bunch of like, some were items, some were just like extra points, pretty much hidden in the background. You couldn't see them, but when you bagged up an enemy and threw them, they rolled across. They would like knock them out of the background and onto a platform, and you could snag them up.
I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, like I think one of the ones that I think I only ever got that way was the like bonus levels,
Mm-hmm.
where you'd basically get a club that you would hit the ground with and sort of clear the field to go on to like a bonus level where now you're having to fight aliens and robots in space for a level, and there'd be like half a dozen cave women on those levels usually.
Yeah, they gave you a lot of bonus points for that and power ups.
The big axe it said on it was a giant hammer, and you just smash it, just kills everything.
Yeah. I think I only ever got to the extra stages maybe like 2 times or so. I
Yeah.
didn't know exactly what you had to do in order to unlock them. It kind of just randomly happened for me a few times.
Yeah, I think it was like larger combinations of enemies, but beyond that, I have no idea. I just know that the
Yeah.
more I focused on that, the more of those things I started getting.
I know when I got to that special stage the first time, like I didn't really know what was going on, and I kind of messed it up because it was the one where like at the top of the screen, like all of the cave women were just all in a row up top. So I jumped up and like ran across to get all of them, and they all like threw things out at you, but the stage like ended immediately because I had rescued them all, so I didn't even have time to pick anything up. So that felt bad.
Yeah, because once you kill the
Felt bad, bro.
enemies, then it's like the stage
Yeah.
ends. It gives you a little bit of time, but not too much. Especially if you killed him and then ran up to rescue them all, you
I
definitely
think that's what I
wouldn't
did.
have
I
enough
think
time
I
to get
killed the
anything.
enemies first, and then jumped up
Yeah.
top, ran across the thing, and then they all like threw stuff, and then it was like clear.
I think I did the exact same thing on the first time I got one of those levels, and then I was like, wait, that was not how to use that right.
That's the thing that bothers me about like arcade games like that. When you get stuff at the end of a level or something, you never have enough time to grab everything. I hate seeing stuff just sitting there and I can't grab it.
Yeah, you don't get to it in time.
I thought this game was pretty generous. It gave you a pretty decent amount of time after you cleared the enemies to, like, I'd kill the last enemy sometimes, save the girl, and still get everything before it ended. It gave you like just enough time to pull it off, though.
Yeah, it was a decent amount of time, but every now and then, if you missed something across the screen, it was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was usually when I'd rolled something across to take out enemies, and then it was like that has ended up on the other side of the level.
Mm-hmm. So as far as the power-ups go, you guys can tell me if you saw any others that I didn't. So the only ones I noticed were the speed power-up, the stronger club. I think we talked about like the club that destroys all the enemies at once. I think that's what takes you to the bonus stage. And then Kyle mentioned the stone wheel that makes like a bowling ball sound whenever you hit them. And those were always nice to get.
It also animates them to look like bowling pins.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
I didn't notice it the first several times, and eventually I'm like, wait a minute, and you really have to like focus on them because they're there so briefly, but they're bowling pin shaped after you hit them.
That's cool.
Wow, I did not notice at all. But were there any other power ups I missed that you guys noticed?
What's the one that makes you like do flips like in the air?
That's like the speed boost, the
Oh,
roller
that's the
skate
speed
looking
one.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
That one was
okay.
nice. I love that power up.
There's a chili pepper that I do not. You're engulfed in flame, but I have no idea what that actually does for gameplay.
That's I think that's like invincible pretty much.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I didn't see that at all.
Then there was one other one we didn't mention. It was like a silver hammer, and instead of killing all the enemies, it just like knocked them all down. Like when you hit them with a club and they're dazed, it just dazed every enemy on the stage.
Wow, that's really weird you said that because the video I'm watching right now, he picked that up the second you explained it. That's so weird.
Always happens with you.
Never fails, dude, I swear. Now, was all the food, that's just for your point total, correct? That doesn't do anything else? That's all I really noticed.
I believe that's it.
Okay. And as always, we don't really focus on points too much, but you never know. I wrote my score down at the end anyway, just in case.
Like as soon as you die, it clears your score every time.
Yeah, kind of sucks.
Yeah. It still gave me some kind of score at the very end. I didn't know if that was cumulative at all or if that was just, what I've gotten since my last coin.
I think
Yeah, I
it's just
believe.
that last one, because it has like the large amount of points for beating the final boss ends up being
Mm-hmm.
a lot more points. Or at least a lot more points than I was ever getting on
Yeah.
one coin
It,
before
it
that.
gave you, I think, extra points if you had like an extra life. It tallied that into points too. So if you like didn't die at all on the last stage and beat it, you got a bunch of extra points.
Well, as always, especially me and Kyle, we always like to learn things about the game during the recording that we didn't notice during the gameplay itself.
Yeah.
It's half the fun.
I mean, so far I don't think I've
Oh, yeah.
I've missed anything yet.
There was no button combos, so you're good.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think to check either because that's always like the main thing that we miss.
No button combos, but you could drop through the floor. I mean, that's a pretty essential part of the gameplay, but I mean, half of these games we played and on platformers you can't, where you can hold in down and jump and fall through the ground.
I just feel like any game that has platforms like that, you should be able to drop through the floor. That should just be
Yeah.
a standard mechanic for that.
I even put in my notes, I just know that Sky loved this game because you could drop down through the platforms, and that's a big thing for him.
It is.
And I just know Kyle hated this game because pretty much nothing changes from stage to stage, and that's a big thing for him.
I mean, I didn't hate it. I'll say that.
Maybe not hate it, but I know that you've had some games in the past where you're like, yeah, every stage is like exactly the same. I think the main one was the escape from the planet of the human people robot eater monsters.
Yeah, that one kind of sucked, but this one I think had a little bit more variance to it, as far as at least like the way the stages looked, and sometimes even the way they played, based on like if it was like the ice level. You would kind of like some of the enemies. I'd watch him. He literally couldn't get up this hill because he was like sliding around.
Yeah, the hills were kind of annoying.
I did think the ghost showed up a little bit too fast for my liking on some of those levels.
I did want to ask about that because is that what happens whenever you're starting to run out of time?
Yeah, I think so, because I think you'd get like a hurry up thing before that.
Yeah.
And then it would reset if you died also, which mostly I would see the ghost panic and then die, and then the ghost would go away, which sort of solved the problem for me.
My first playthrough, I never saw the ghost show up. My second playthrough that I did a little bit ago, I saw him show up twice, and I had no idea what he did. And like, I know the screen says hurry up, but like, I don't think I ever even noticed a timer on the screen anywhere or anything, which was weird. But what does the ghost actually do whenever he shows up? Because he kind of just showed up on the screen and didn't do anything for me.
He'll just chase you unless you can finish the level.
Oh.
He just wants a hug, that's all.
Oh, of course. I would love to give the ghost man a hug. I'm assuming then you cannot attack him back?
Not in a way that I figured out in the little bit that I tried.
Yeah, I couldn't hurt him either. He would just try to... I didn't see him too much, but he would just chase you down. If he touched you, then you lose a life and he goes away.
I started to see him more as I was trying to do larger attacks and not just like scramble until everything was dead. And so I was starting to take more time to set things up, and that was giving the ghost time to show up, which I guess is why he was in there.
I can't remember. Does that ghost appear in boss levels too? Because I know the boss levels took quite a while sometimes. I don't remember if one showed up or not.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
I know I got to hurry up on there, but I think I finished I might have actually had him show up on a boss. I'm not sure.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I've seen the hurry up, so I just assumed.
So you just hurried up?
Yes, I just hurried up. Hurried up and I didn't die. You know, Brad's strategy.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to use that.
I feel like some of the bosses I took a little bit of time on, and I don't think I've ever seen a ghost on the boss.
I think I did. I can't remember which boss it was, but it might have been like one of the further bosses. I was kind of taking a while to beat him, and one came through. I think I died from something else, and no matter what kills you, he goes away and it like resets the timer.
Maybe I didn't take as long as I thought, or maybe I was just happened to be dying like right before it was going to give me the hurry up message anyway, and it reset the time.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. It might reset the timer every time you die, because if you keep dying and coming back, then it might reset it, so you don't have to. So it seems like it's taking longer to actually activate.
I think it actually probably is that, because I think that the boss that I think I had it show up on was also the one that was easiest to not take damage on. Was the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated
In
him.
reality, I thought I was doing really well because I'd never seen the ghost, but apparently I was dying too much.
That's okay, man. You tried.
There's one of two options. Either you're dying too fast or you're completing the levels too quick. One or the other.
We'll see what that token count says.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough. But speaking of levels, so there are 7 levels in the game. And now this game did the same BS that Mega Twins did, where it shows you only a few of them. So you get to the last one and you think, oh, okay, so we're just about done here. And then surprise, you have 2 more it wants to add on at the very end. But 7 levels. Are there any specific levels, or we'll also say bosses, that stood out to you guys that you liked, you didn't like, whatever?
I mean, just the base stages themselves, like you said before, there's not a ton of change, mostly just like scenery. There's some like subtle platform layouts and different like hazards and stuff like that. But for the most part,
The
the
platform
stages
layouts is the
themselves,
thing.
yeah. But one of the ones that was a little bit harder, I don't remember which stage it was. It would have been the fire stage, but there was pretty much like a column the whole way down the middle, so the stage was like divided in two. So you'd have to like kill everything on one side, go the whole way up to the top, watch out for like the flame geyser, then come back down the other side. But other than that, I don't
I
think
think I
there
know
was.
what you mean.
Yeah, that was one of the harder ones, I thought.
Yeah, no kidding.
I really did not like the water levels and like the fish boss, to the point that I think ultimately at some point I realized you could choose which of the 5 to start with, and whichever one you started with, you would do the fewest levels on that. And so I started with the water level on the last time I played it to get those done out of the way and not have to do as many levels there. Because just there's something about those. There's something about those levels that just, I think it's how the enemies move, that just was very frustrating for me.
A little spiky like coral thing that pops up and stabs you and kills you. That caught me a few times.
Oh yeah.
Same.
The nautiluses that like shoot things at you in there, they're like the red ones that I would always forget could do that until they hit me.
I didn't know. I noticed the levels, like certain stages would have more levels than the previous. I didn't know you could pick one though, and that would be the shortest one.
I tried it and it worked, and I was very pleased.
Oh man.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I liked the volcano level as much as like the fire hazards and stuff were like kind of annoying. I didn't feel like they were that big of a deal, and I just kind of liked like the overall aesthetic of it.
Yeah, that fire level was definitely a pain in the butt with the stage hazards for sure. Though I can't tell you how many lives I've lost to the fire hazards and the dinosaur boss too that spits fire at you. That drove me nuts. That might be a different stage, one that spits the fire. I can't remember for sure.
I think that was like the fossil one with the heart in the middle.
Yeah, the dinosaur skeleton one. He looked cool as hell. I liked
Yeah,
him.
that was my favorite fight.
Like a T-Rex skeleton.
My least favorite fight was the normal T-Rex because he covered so much of the screen that I felt like I could never get away from the damn guy. Like he would corner me and I felt like I'd be stuck there sometimes.
Well, the majority of the bosses, if you just stay in like one of the top corners, they never even hit that platform. So you can kind of just sit up there until they turn around and then drop down to like get another enemy to throw at them. And then I just keep running back up in the corner to like where it was pretty safe.
I realized that pretty late.
The T-Rex, I think, was the only one that really worked just of, I definitely can't be reached here. Some of the others, they'd eventually get there. But the T-Rex was like, I can just stand up here, which is why I think I would wait. And I think I just had one round where all my enemies that I could throw had moved down too far to easily reach. And so I was kind of like waiting for them to come back up.
I wish the bosses had like a little more, I don't know, like better attack patterns and stuff. Was a little more like skillful. Kind of seemed like they just wander back and forth until you eventually kill them.
Some of them, yeah, were kind of just random, just all over the place. The T-Rex kind of seemed like the most consistent one to me.
Yeah, I definitely died on just the stages, like way more than any of the bosses.
The bosses look cool too. Like they could have done so much cooler ideas with that.
Bosses did look cool. I really liked the big green Triceratops. He was super easy, but I thought he looked pretty sweet.
I do also enjoy the way they animate when the bosses get hit, and you kind of have like these large eyes and everything, which that has been a consistent thing
Yeah.
across these games. Is I do like that art style choice.
Like big exaggerated cartoony things.
Yeah,
Yeah. Some Looney Tunes faces. I love it.
The like giant mammoth you fight was kind of interesting a little bit because he had like these two tusks, and if you hit them, they would eventually break off because they would pretty much act as a shield, and they would block any like attacks you threw at them. But if you hit it a couple times, it would break off, and you could attack through it. And you could just avoid it altogether, but it was kind of an interesting little detail that they put in there.
I think the woolly mammoth was my favorite one.
I liked him.
I just think he looked the coolest.
Yeah, he took up like 80% of the screen.
Yeah, he was huge. As far as looks though, that the dinosaur skeleton boss that we mentioned was totally the coolest to me. Like you could even see his beating heart in his chest, and I thought he was pretty cool looking.
I agree.
Then you could attack the heart as well, I think too. Whenever
Yeah.
so if you attack him enough times, like the skeleton disappears for a bit, but the heart remains. I think you can just attack the heart by itself too.
Yeah, they keep doing the like living set of fossils in these games. Like I kind of at a certain point I'm like I'm gonna know all the bosses that I'm gonna see, aren't I? And it more or less played out that way. Whereas at least they were familiar, even if they weren't behaving the same way. But I think for the other games, like those are their same bosses of
Oh, they just reuse them.
T-Rex, pterodactyl. Actually, I guess this was a fish thing rather than like a plesiosaur, but most of the rest was like
Plesiosaur, I couldn't remember.
they just like they distilled this down to like these are the things that you would kill if you were in the past, and apparently one of those is always living set of bones.
Did the other games have the knockoff Ryu from Street Fighter that you had to fight?
I wanted to talk about him. Yes.
Yeah, that was new. That was that, and I have the one after that is I feel like I just don't understand what the heck's happening with the fire breathing guy.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty crazy looking.
Let's please talk about the Ryu. Nah, it was like to a T. This man, he had the headband. The only thing was, I think he had like black pants, but he legitimately shot you with Hadoukens and Shoryukens to a T. It was Ryu, just all over the screen.
Yeah, when that stage started, I was like, what is going on? And all of a sudden, there's like all these fireballs flying across the screen. It kept on killing me. I was like, dude, I'm fighting Ryu. What's happening here?
Mm-hmm.
Just go out and grab some sticks and stones, try to build a hut. You get hit with a Hadouken.
If we didn't mention, that's on the final level that you'll see him. And then the guy after him, yeah, just some fat dude that flies around the screen like Kirby and shoots fireballs at you.
Yeah, and it's weird because the only time that I've seen that character prior is he's in like one of the cutscenes when he blows off a woman's top and then jumps and floats away, and you're just like, I do not understand what just happened at all.
Mm-hmm. Then also want to mention that that final level has one of our favorite things that is a very common theme amongst a lot of these arcade games, and that's a boss rush mode. We've seen a lot of those. This one is not exempt.
Yep, gotta have that. It's not an arcade game if you don't have a boss rush, apparently.
100%.
It also has a weird twist on, I think definitely in the first Joe and Mac game, and I think in the second one, if I was better at it, that you fight basically like a copy of yourself. And so there was also the level where it was full of basically copies of Joe and Mac with slightly different colors, who then fired out even smaller versions of Joe and Mac for reasons that I don't really grasp at that point.
How many Joe and Macs can we have?
Once it got to like the World 7, things just got unhinged. Like, there was so much stuff going on. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
There was a lot on that final level, man.
Yeah, like I don't know if that just means that they like the reason they didn't tell you about that one at the start of the game was they hadn't even thought up to do that extra bit. Because that really just felt like they threw whatever they could. Whatever anyone said just got put in there without really discussing it.
No one questioned it. You said it. It's in the game.
Do you guys know if when you're fighting the bosses, when you would bag like multiple enemies at once, does that actually equate to more damage to the boss?
Yeah.
I was wondering that too.
Okay.
I did some tests on that. If you grab one, it does 1 damage. If you get 2, it still does 1 damage. But if you get 3, then it does 2 damage for some reason against the bosses.
Yeah, it's not like a 1-to-1 ratio of damage and stuff.
Yeah. Overall, in the game in general, is there any benefit to getting more than 3? I didn't notice if it did more damage past 3.
I didn't notice it going past 3 enemies.
I thought at like 4, it would seem to travel long more and bounce through more things.
Okay.
But I may be entirely imagining that that's how that was working. I think I tended to aim for like 4.
That's something I'll point out though that I don't really think we mentioned much. So as I said, you can stun an enemy and bag them up. Now, if you only get 1 enemy, it's just a small bag. It will just roll until it hits something and it explodes. But if you manage to load up 3 or I guess 4 enemies or so in the bag, which can be kind of tough to do if they're not clustered, then the bag is huge. It hits pretty much anything in its way, and it will bounce back and forth around the whole screen. So it's significantly more effective that way.
Yeah, man, I got killed so many times trying to like I didn't notice if it did anything more getting 3, but it was like I don't know, I just had to get a bigger had a bigger count. I would just keep on I'd go up and down the platforms trying to get like 5 of them. Then I'd see a couple more. I'd get like 7 and try to get 7 in a bag, then all of a sudden they if you hold them in your bag too long, they pop out. So I'd be trying to collect some of them and I'd pop out and die just trying to get a massive bag for no reason.
Or they'd regain consciousness right before you get back to them.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Brad just had to get a bigger sack, man. What can I say?
I had to get the big old sack.
Had to get the big sack. Had to fit as much in there as you could.
That's right.
Yeah. I think 2 would bounce off the first wall it would hit. So those were like really useful for like banking shots down to lower platforms and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So as far as basic enemies go, for the most part, they're more or less pretty similar. A few of them kind of just walk around. A few of them have ranged attacks. Those are the worst ones. The one thing that always drove me nuts, and if I saw it on a stage, I'd go for it immediately. A few stages have these tents that will spawn enemies, and that's why you want to get rid of them as soon as you can. But as from what I noticed, I think the only way you can damage them is by throwing the bag at them. I don't think you can just swing your club at them. And they typically take about 3 shots to take out. But those were always my first target whenever I saw those.
I think that multiple enemies also factor into that. Like if you have a bag full of like 3 of them, it'll deal more damage to that tent.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it only took 2 to destroy it. Sometimes, like, as you would throw at it, though, one would respawn, and that would take one of the hits from your bag away, so you'd still end only up doing 1 damage to the hut. But I'd always hurt him, grab 2, and toss 2 out, and it would instantly break it.
Yeah, dude, if you didn't jump on those things immediately, that screen got flooded fast.
Yeah, it was rough.
Those things would disappear too.
The huts?
Eventually, but it took a while.
Yeah, if you let enough enemies come out of there. There's a couple times where it was just like, that isn't a really annoying spot for me to try to like get. It's like I'm just gonna wait for them all to exist, and then I can just clean them up easy.
Yeah, they're always pretty far away. You kind of have to go through a lot of the stage to reach them.
I think a lot of my deaths were just trying to take those things out as fast as possible. Like they kept piling up, they're in a crappy spot. I'd throw a couple, like Brad said, and like the bag would hit a guy that just spawned, so it would take my damage down a little bit. I think most of my deaths were trying to jump on those things and take them out.
Yeah, I definitely had suffered a few deaths from, like in the beginning, not knowing that you couldn't even like walk past them. If you touched it, it would hurt you.
Yeah, they're a pain. Any other enemies worth talking about? Or, like I said, for the most part, they're pretty similar.
I think the little monkeys were the best enemies in the game. They just turn around and scratch their butt.
And do nothing.
And sometimes I die because I wasn't sure when an enemy was jumping up and down, because they can go between platforms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be focused on
Been
a
there.
couple, like, on the platform that I'm standing on. I wouldn't notice the 2 walking above. I think it'd do a little animation before they do it, but it's fast enough I didn't notice it when it happened. So they just drop down on my head and kill me.
Yeah, they do at least give you that animation, though, which is nice, so it's not completely random.
Yeah, though a couple of them would also, when they were doing that, they'd like spin, which would also stop. Even if you had the largest like sack of enemies going by, it would stop with that rather than plow through them, which was frustrating on a few of those levels.
It just blocks
like
all your hard work.
Yeah, it's like I did all this hard work to try to clear the screen with one throw, and then some pterodactyl spins and stops it like halfway down the level.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about it. The same thing with like little campfires. If you're giant, you had them all bagged up and you threw it at it, the campfire would just completely destroy it and it would ruin your whole run.
I did not like the campfires. I think they were easier for me to miss, and so I'd forget that they were there. Like, especially if you hit an enemy in front of it, because the enemies could walk through it. And so you'd hit an enemy there and then go to pick them up and forget that there was fire behind them.
Yeah, definitely. I think I died once or twice to that.
There were some sneaky ones where you'd like break a hut and then you'd think it's safe, but then there was a fire right where the hut was sitting, and then I'd run into that not realizing it.
Yeah, that one too was one of the more frustrating things. I think also with the surprise of if you accidentally club one of the cave women, it stuns you, which I think is the only thing in the game that actually does something to you that isn't just like immediate death, is that you'd be stunned and have to recover.
Yeah, it did happen to me once, but it stunned me, but also like launched me across the screen.
Yep, they will sexually assault these women, but they will not hit them. That's not acceptable.
We didn't really talk about the movement just in general. I just wanted to bring up, I thought the movement was like super fluid in this game. Like you could jump in midair and kind of turn the other direction. You could, like some of the games you have like a fixed jump. You jump and you're just going to land where you land. There's nothing you can do about it. But this you could like kind of jump, pivot, you're in the air, turn around, hit behind you. So it was real nice. You had so much control over your character.
I agree.
Yeah, I like the games you control your jumps, whether like as soon as you're in the air, you can go left or right. I don't. That's why the problem I had with like old Castlevania games was once you jump, you're going that direction, and that's it. Those are like frustrating mechanics for me.
I just think it was good movement all around, and like a good response time. Like everything felt fluid. Nothing was like clunky.
Especially when you picked up them skates, dude, and your guys doing like flips all over the place. I felt like I was playing some Smash Bros. I'm doing some back airs and just crushing everything. Like whenever you hit the enemies, you can just like hit them. If you hit the ground, it shoots like a little flame, like a little bit in front of you, but you can just like hit them directly with the club and make like a little bonk sound. I'd be jumping in the air, bonking them on the head, and I was having a blast, dude.
Come on, Nintendo, next Smash Bros. Let's go, Joe and Mac.
Doing some bonk like the Puppet Pals. You guys remember them?
Be like an ice climber team.
I've never heard of the Puppet Pals.
What? Puppet Pal Mitch and Puppet Pal Clem, you don't remember?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I think it might be Dexter's Lab, maybe? It's like a TV show that they watch. It's one of those like Cartoon Friday things, but all they do is they bonk each other on the head. Can't believe you guys don't remember. We just talked about Dexter's Lab a few episodes ago.
We also didn't cover the multiplayer. Did anyone attempt to mess with that at all?
No.
I mean, I was trying to figure it out because I had it on my arcade. I put in 2 characters, and you can like hit your teammate. It didn't deal damage to them, but it would send them flying, like so you can knock your teammate into the enemies and stuff, and pretty much use them as a weapon. It didn't hurt your teammate, but it would knock them down, like how you're dazed, like when you hit the other enemies and they fall down on their daze. It kind of did that to your teammate, but you could like use each other as weapons, knocking out the other enemies.
Interesting.
I was going to ask about the last boss.
Oh yeah, that robot.
Yeah.
He wasn't that interesting to me at all.
I thought it was kind of cool.
I liked him.
I didn't think he was any harder than any of the other bosses either. Like for a final boss, he felt pretty simple.
I think
Yeah.
I found him hard, but I think in part it was he took up so much screen, and it also seemed like if you hit like his hands or something that it wouldn't actually do damage to him, I think.
Yeah, or his propeller, like that would stop the damage too. What really got me with him was every time you would hit him, his arms were like kind of down by his side. Every time you hit him, his arms would fling up real high, and then if you're standing there, because I'm usually get real close to him and throw it at him, his arms would fling up real high and like smack me, and I'd always lose a life.
Dude, that was so annoying.
Yeah,
I found that out immediately when I hit him. I was like, come on, like I'm not even close to him. As soon as you hit him with damage, like his arms fly out, and then now he's hitting you like 5 feet away.
Yeah, I realized that on my first playthrough and corrected it on my second.
I realized it and still got me like 6 times. It was frustrating.
Yeah. Like that was the one where I never figured out that was the other one other than the fish where I never figured out a system that worked. Because he also drops bombs. So between the arms flailing around and the bombs dropping down below, it's just like I don't know where I'm supposed to be and not get hit.
I mean, you can hit the bombs, I guess, and they won't hurt you.
Yeah, you can like neutralize them if you smack them.
So I was okay at like getting away from the bombs and destroying them, but I just keep forgetting every time I hit him, his arms fly up and hit me. He caught me with that so many times.
And he does have a second form, which I thought was kind of weird. When he went to his second form, he had like a bunch of HP, but every time you hit him, it would deal like 4 damage at once, so he died super quick.
He was a lot faster in the second form, though. That was kind of the only annoying part to me.
Yeah, it was tricky to line up the shot because you would throw it and he'd either go up and it would go past him, or an enemy would walk past him and it would hit the enemy instead of him. It was kind of frustrating to actually target him.
I really feel like the propellers should have been like his weak point, not the thing that blocks him from taking damage. Like just that feels like those should be vulnerable, and I seem to be that was a lot of he dips a little bit, you hit the propellers, and he's fine.
Yeah, you'd think that'd make more sense.
Yeah, he really abused those propellers. He lined them up perfectly every time. And just the bosses in general, like when you hit them, I feel like most games, if you hit them, there's like kind of like a couple seconds of invulnerability where they couldn't hurt you or something. But it's like as soon as you hit them, they were back at you and they would hurt you. So you had to like get out of there quick. Sometimes I would hit them and think I could like run past them real quick, but then they would automatically kill you.
I think I had a run where that fish would turn around every time I hit it, and like its turning around was enough to reach me, and so it would just flip around and immediately do damage to me. And it's like, this is cruel. I was a distance away when I threw this.
I think the fish and the pterodactyl, because they fly around, they go up and down like all points of the screen. Like those, I got a lot of deaths on those guys just because I'm trying to like go out around them, but then they would dip down and like fly right into where I'm going and stuff.
Can somebody maybe explain the mammoth's attack? What this is supposed to be?
What, he like shoots that thing out of his trunk or whatever?
He just shoots this weird red blob out of his face.
You've never seen a mammoth do that, man? What's
No,
wrong with
dude,
you?
what is it?
Well, what happened was he ate a bunch of those Ryus, and so those are all Hadoukens coming out.
Oh,
Ate all those cave Ryus. I got one suggestion though. I think from now on, for future episodes, we should use that laugh track.
ooh. But played at the wrong time.
Play it like 5 seconds late every time.
We're like a second before the joke.
Yeah, before the joke. There's just laughter for no reason, and then you say something funny. I was waiting for like the Seinfeld bass to jump in there too.
We'll have to keep that in mind. Brad, get on that. You do all the editing.
Yeah.
I want trivia.
It's not even trivia time yet, because now we got the numbers with Brad. So take it away, Brad.
All right, we know where this goes. We start off with our credit usage. So, guys, how many credits did it take you to finish the game?
Well, I can go first.
Wait, did you beat it? Did you actually finish it this week?
Yeah, I beat
Did it
this one.
freeze?
I beat this one.
All right, good.
I just did one playthrough like I typically do. I do want to say, I think if I played it a second time, I could get a way better score.
100%.
I believe
just
you.
gonna put that out there.
100, yes.
But
Absolutely.
I ended this one using 21 credits.
It's not bad for a first run.
I just felt like I was dying a lot to like things because I didn't know that I could die to them yet. So I think if I played through it a second time, I could probably easily cut that in half.
Yeah, that first run was just like information gathering. What can kill me? What can I walk through? What's safe? I think hearing Kyle's number, I should go right after him. I spent 22 getting through this game.
Okay. Guys are right on the same page then. Was that just one play?
Yeah.
Well, being tied for first place was fun while it lasted. So I agree with what Kyle said. If he played this a second time, he'll improve dramatically because my token total improved dramatically from time 1 to time 2. And now I'm wondering what in the hell I did wrong. Because my first run, my unofficial, was 48 tokens. So I don't know why you guys are so good at this. But whatever. my second official run is going to be 29 tokens.
I think for this game, that's decent if you're still trying to figure out like what can hurt you and where you can stand and all that.
Yeah, I feel like every time you play this game, it'll go down a lot.
Yeah, if I would have had time to do it a third time, maybe I would have, but I felt pretty good with going from 48 to 29, so I kind of just went with it.
Was your first run blindfolded?
Yeah, dude. Isn't that... Wait. I thought that's how we were supposed to do all these games. Have you guys been cheating?
Mike, what about you?
So I'll actually say I started in the same ballpark with 38 on the first go when I was trying to figure out how this was working. And then dropped it down to 25, and then realized I could change where I started and got it down to 19. And most of those are towards the end. Like, that's what was frustrating, is I'd get to the end, like, 10 coins in, and then use the rest up on a couple of the late fights.
Damn, Mike's number 1.
What, did Brad go yet?
I did not yet. I played this quite a few times.
Is he number 1?
I might be. I my first run was pretty bad too. I think I had 38 as well. I played this 3 times. Every time I played it, it went down so much. It went from 38, then down to 28, and then my last one I got down to 14.
Oh damn.
Yeah, I feel like this is a game that you could, I mean, any game technically, but this one, it's pretty fair overall. I think you could, this is a game I could see someone one coining if they put a little bit of time into it, just because there's no cheap deaths, you're just kind of, you can see everything on the screen. If you just figure out what the enemies do, you can really just utilize the map and survive most of the time.
It's one of those games that it really catches you off guard at first playthrough or two, till you
Yeah.
learn it.
And you have to be willing to be kind of patient, which I'm just not. I would jump into danger way too many times, thinking I could just jump and smack them at the same time, and it just didn't always work that way.
I think it also helped at some point when I stopped chasing like points because I realized that I have no idea what it's doing. Because I was like, maybe there's a number of points where it'll be like I get an extra life, and if that happens, it was never at a point I could reach. So at a certain point, it wasn't worth it, and I was risking things for points that don't matter.
Yep, yeah, I point chased a little bit too. I think that's a lot of my deaths were trying to get that last watermelon before it disappears or something.
Yeah.
I grabbed every piece of food, even though I knew it didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't do anything but points as far as I could tell. And I never stayed alive long enough to get points to get an extra life, so.
The most points I ever had on a single coin was beating it the first time, and then I never got anywhere close.
My score came from just beating the final boss, because I had 0 when I started it. I literally just got like the final game points for winning. That's it.
I do think like getting your score up does give you extra lives, but I do think it takes a lot of points to get it. And you can also, there is a maximum point cap that you like cap out at. It's just 9s across the board, and then you just can't get any higher points than that afterward. And you can reach it from that playthrough I'm looking at. Like he kind of reaches that point total like I don't know, like 3/4 of the way through the game, and then just plays all the rest of the game without being able to get a higher score.
Huh.
Surprised they didn't roll that over like most arcade games back in the day. They would just roll it back to 0 again.
If you're capable of getting that many points, add another digit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, well, let's move into our personal ratings. I went with 58 on this one because there's a total of 58 stages. If you add in like each of the worlds, it starts out, it's kind of weird. There's like 4 and then it goes to 8, and then like the last couple are all 10s. But if you add them all up, each individual stage, there's 58 total.
Yeah, that's what Mike was saying, how like the further levels get more stages in them.
Yeah.
It did not feel like that many to me.
Yeah, some of them went by pretty quick. That's including bosses too. Those count as stages.
Well, you boys want me to kick this off? I'm gonna give it like a 30 out of 58.
All right, it's pretty weak.
I mean, it was just like I don't know. Like there was a lot of stages, which was cool. The stages, obviously being like a static platformer, like you can only do so much. Like so, yeah, the stages kind of looked a little different, which was fine. The enemies had a little bit of variance, but there was nothing like hard or challenging really about the game. After you like got past, as soon as you seen an enemy one time, you kind of knew what he did. Everything was pretty easy to avoid. The bosses were all like, while kind of cool looking, they were also all very basic. You just like kind of rinse and repeat the same strategy of like hiding, like pick a corner and just stand there, and most of the bosses don't touch you. And then like even like kind of your moveset, while it was like you had good range with your club and your like mobility and response time was all really good, you were really just doing one thing the entire game. Just one button, and then you could jump as well. So it was all kind of basic for me.
All right, fair enough.
I'll hop in. So we said out of 58, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like an upper half of the list kind of game for me. I had fun with it. It's a platformer, but it's like not a platformer like we said. It's, on the plus side, like it's a very very simple game to learn and play, and I enjoyed that because there were games, of course, where we come into this podcast and Kyle and I said, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that." This game was very simple and straightforward, so that was kind of nice. It was fun and colorful. On the negative side, it was very repetitive, and it loses a point for sexual assault. So we're going to give it 39 out of 58.
I think it's the first game that's lost a point for that. Interesting.
Well, Vanth lost points for racism. This game loses points for sexual assault.
Yeah, these games are wild, man. Jeez.
Japan doesn't care, man.
They're hitting everybody. They don't care. I'm right around where Kyle's at. I probably also gave it like a 30. The controls are awesome, obviously, and you could definitely one credit this probably fairly simply. I don't think it's a game you have to put a ton of time into to get really good at. It's just those initial playthroughs are pretty brutal because you have no idea where you're safe at or what's going to kill you. I did like the graphics on it. I'm a fan of those old school kind of arcade graphics, so that was a plus for me. All the bosses also looked awesome, and I think the mammoth for me was the funnest one, just jumping around and like avoiding his fireballs and all that. But like Kyle said, they don't really have any real patterns or mechanics to them. You just kind of jump around and throw stuff at them until they die. There's not a huge lot of skill for it. So it was a fun game though. I liked it. I did wish there was more variation in the levels rather than like that static classic arcade one screen thing like Donkey Kong almost kind of thing. But I don't think it was a bad game. I thought it was pretty cool. It's at least worth playing once.
And Mike, what about you?
I think I'm going to go 49 on this, which works out to like a solid like B. I had a lot of fun with it. I will probably play a little bit more of it to see if I can get that score better. And it already has an aesthetic that I knew I like.
Yeah, I think I'd also play it again to try to get a better score. I think I definitely know that I could get a better score if I had more time. I would try it again if for funsies at some point maybe.
All right. Well, I thought my score was a little high, but Mike gave me a little reassurance there. I'm more on Mike's end with this. I put down a 50 out of 58.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was pretty high on this one. It was, just single screen game. You can see everything. There's no cheap death. It's not like enemies are coming in off the screen. You can't see them or anything. Sometimes games are like that, and it gets pretty frustrating. But this, if you die, it's pretty much your fault after you play through it once because everything's pretty much avoidable. So if something happens, it's pretty much you're in control of it. Movement's about as good as it gets, and I don't know. I liked it a lot for what it is. I don't really know what else they could have done to make the game better. What platform action game? I don't know what you even want to call it, but for this style of game, I thought it was good.
I feel a little low. Bump mine up to a 42. That's still minus the 1 point, but now that he said 49 was like a B, I was kind of thinking, maybe I'm a little low. So we'll bump it up to, 42? Let's run with that.
You know what? Bump mine up too.
Oh my!
Let's go, bump them
Oh,
up.
let's go. I'm going 35. You won me over with the no cheat deaths.
Guy, can we get a point off you?
Oh man!
You don't have to change.
Everybody's jumping.
You
up.
don't feel pressured.
No, I'm still
no peer pressure.
I'm still a solid 30 on that.
All right, that's fair. All right, everyone's got their feelings out, how they feel about the game, what they want to rank it, or what they want to rate it. Now let's see what you want to rank it. Everyone got the list pulled up?
Yep.
Yes, sir. I almost forgot. I pulled it up like 30 seconds ago.
Mike, I know you're not on every episode, but I did send you the list. I don't know what all games you know on here, but just get a general idea. If this was up to you, where do you think you would put it?
I think I'd answer above Turtles just to see what happens.
Uh-oh. Here we
Oh,
go.
no.
Oh my god!
Cut the show. Cut the show. This Joker's out of here.
Number one
Wasn't here,
guest.
Buster.
Yes.
Wasn't here, Buster. You're not invited back.
He's coming in. He's changed everyone's rankings. He's bumping Turtles off. I like this guy.
I'm going to unsubscribe from the Old Switch-a-roo Podcast.
Mike's coming in hot.
Yeah, screw that. I'm about to start subscribing and Patreon, whatever. I'm gonna send you all my money.
Get out of here.
We know Jordan doesn't like that. What about you guys? Sky, Kyle, where do you guys ballpark this game?
Let me look. Let me see the list here.
But yeah, like honestly, I have not played anything on here. Although I've ran JJ Squawkers to see that I could run things.
Wow, that's not the one I expected you to say.
It was the easiest name to find quickly.
Fair.
It's nice and unique, but like short.
I think I would put this game somewhere around maybe like below Bucky O'Hare. But for me personally, probably yeah. Because I think it goes above Mazinger.
Oh.
So you can put it at rank 6.
Yeah.
How's Brad feel about that one?
I was roughly the same, either above or below Mazinger.
Really, I was a little bit lower.
Yeah, this is not one where I would fight either way.
Kind of my ballpark, as long as it's above Metal Slug, and I would say, personally, I would say right under Mazinger, above Mega Twins.
I could see it going there. Either I could see it above Mega Twins or just above Boogie Wings, honestly.
Yeah, it's either above or below Mazinger for me personally.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So if we want to go below Mazinger, that's cool.
I'm in agreement with that, if everyone else is. Sky's a little bit lower. You
That's
guys
okay
are a
with
tiny
me.
bit higher. We can kind of average out there.
So what's right now with what we're saying? Where's it placing at? Under Mazinger and above Mega Twins?
Yes.
Yeah, I could see it going at what, number 7 and bump everything down. Is that where we're going?
Yep, I
Yeah,
like
I
it.
think that's good. Nice, quick, easy ranking.
Bucky, Mazinger, Joe Mac, and then Mega Twins.
And then that puts Turtles at 13.
That puts Turtles at number 1, actually. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what list you're looking at.
All right, so we got that locked in, and that's it for the numbers. Jordan, you ready to give us some trivia?
I suppose I can do that. Kyle was ready for trivia before numbers, and I know he's ready for it. So let's give a rundown of the scores. Mr. Sky is leading the way at 25 points. Brad has 19. Kyle has 17, and Mike has 0. What a loser.
Yay, I'm not in last.
Mounting a comeback.
Here we go. Today's Mike's day.
It all starts today, buddy. Let's move on into trivia with question number 1. So, fun fact about this first question, actually. In the Boogie Wings episode, there was a trivia question with these exact same 3 answers. And a little hint here, I don't think it's going to help you much, but little hint. It's the same correct answer as that question from Boogie Wings. So, number 1, an armored soldier from what other Data East game appears in one of the game's bonus levels? A. Lock On. B. Desert Assault. C. Roga Armor Force.
I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark and say it was answer B.
Okay, that would be Desert Assault.
Yeah, I'm also thinking Desert Assault.
Alrighty.
I'm hopping on the Desert Assault train.
All right, Mike, what about you?
I will go Lock On.
You are all wrong. It is Roga
Oh
Armor
my
Force.
God.
Dang.
We don't even know our own
You
podcast.
losers.
Dude, I'm like 90% sure that's the same answer I gave last time, too.
I don't remember.
And got it
so
wrong.
the question, the Boogie Wings question, I believe it was it took inspiration from Roga Armor Force that you could leave your mech and run with your character as well,
Oh.
like you could in Boogie Wings, if you remember that. Just a little fun little tidbit there. But we're gonna move on to question number 2. Joe and Mac Returns was released digitally in 2019 for what console? A. The Nintendo Switch. B. Xbox One. C. PlayStation 4.
Say the Switch. I heard Mike talking about Nintendo earlier.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I have to go Switch. I can't imagine this was released on a console like that, but I could be wrong.
Yep, gotta roll the Switch.
I would say I thought this thing was released on 2 consoles, but that on the Switch it's been delisted.
I'm just rolling with what I saw.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm going Switch because I thought it was on there and was delisted.
That is the answer that I saw, so we're gonna roll with it. Nintendo Switch. I mean, it's still the correct answer technically because it was still released in 2019 for the console. So either way, answer's still gonna be Nintendo Switch. You're all gonna get that one correct.
Oh yeah, I'm still sticking with it. I'm just disappointed that I couldn't pick it up on Switch as well. I want to know if that version, if they actually censored stuff.
Oh, I would imagine so. There is literally a point in this game where a cave woman's whole butt cheeks are just sticking out. I know that ain't on a Nintendo console. No chance.
Maybe it snuck
mean-
through, and that's why I got delisted.
Yeah.
I mean, you see her from the front too.
Oh.
That's the part that I was surprised by.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I saw that and I was like, there's no way. Like this is weird.
Like the most embarrassing moment of her life. Just feeling humiliated. There's a laugh track. Everybody's having a good time.
But there's a laugh track
Oh, the
before it
90s.
happens.
Before, just like a little precursor to the shame she's about to feel.
This is gonna be funny. Everyone start
Oh,
laughing
man.
now.
Get it out ahead of time.
The next game is going to be called Joe and Mac Gets Canceled.
All right, whatever. Question number 3. So I believe this is our first time playing a game that's a sequel. What year did the original Joe and Mac release on arcades? A, 1990, B, 1991, or C, 1992?
I'll just say 91, B.
I will go with 1990. Hey.
I'm gonna wait for Mike to answer.
Oh, come on.
All right, I'll go. I'm gonna go 1990.
I think I'm going to 1991 and hope that the console and the arcade didn't have different years, and I've missed it because of that. But I'm going 91.
The correct answer is the year that a lot of great things happened, if I do say so myself, and that is 1991, my friends.
I knew I should have waited for Mike.
You really should have. All right, so today, Sky and Mike get 2 correct, Brad and Kyle get 1, bringing us to a grand total of... Brad is at 20, Sky's at 27, Kyle's at 18, Mike with a big old fat Tooski.
Let's go.
I'll take it.
Mike making a comeback.
I didn't mention it in case it would show up, that I think the original name of this franchise was Caveman Ninja.
Yes, I did see that as well. I considered putting that in there, but I went with the other ones instead.
I wanted to put that out there. I left it in case it was going to show up here so that I'd have a point in my pocket.
I really did think about it. I think the main reason I chose not to was just because I couldn't think of anything creative enough for the fake answers, so I just didn't want to mess with it.
Mike wasn't worried about the integrity of the trivia. He just wanted that bonus point.
It's every man for
I'm
himself.
all about getting all I can out of trivia.
At least he didn't ruin one of the questions halfway through the episode like Sky did with Boogie Wings.
Yeah.
But also, Caveman Ninja seems like a bit of a reach for the gameplay.
Yeah.
It's right. It's why it's
interesting.
really weird when the second game doesn't have Joe and Mac and all and is Caveman Ninja Congo's Caper, and it's just like a totally different. It's weird. It's very confusing. We had to split that episode into 2 episodes because it turned out to be 3 hours.
Oh my.
We thought that was going to be a short episode, and they get really weird and very confusing. Like, I played all 3 games without knowing that one of those was in fact like the middle game of a trilogy.
To go check all those out.
That can be a future episode.
Yeah, it is a fascinatingly strange thing that they have done with that. You never thought that caveman games was a genre, and yet here we are.
But the sexual assault's in all of them, right?
Only in this one.
Oh, really? I thought you said there was something kind of like that, but not quite as extreme.
In the first one, I guess it's Joe and Mac rescuing them from being kidnapped by the quote-unquote Neanderthal nerds, which when they brought to the US, they edited so it seems a lot worse. So instead of seeing them being like dragged off, it's just like black screen and screaming, and it feels way more sinister than the original somehow. And then the third is just give a woman gifts that she doesn't want until she marries you, which I think is not actually assault, it's just still bad.
It's just a little creepy.
Yeah.
That's
it's
how
like,
you do it, don't you?
Like, it's a problem, but in a different way.
Well, I've been dating all wrong. All right, boys. This is your last chance before I wrap things up here today. If you have any final words for Mr. Joe and Mac, now's your chance. Hop on in there.
I think that's a wrap on Joe and Mac.
Yeah, wrap these boys up.
Joe and Mac.
Next time on Arcadiology, they'll be playing Crossed Swords.
You can follow us on all social media at Arcadiology, Twitter, not calling it X, Instagram, Snapchat. Again, if I get enough followers on the Snapchat, I'll start posting on it. TikTok and, all those other teenager stuff that we have on social media now. And you can email us at arcadiologyquestions@gmail.com. Brad, I believe there's also another forum that people can reach out to us at, correct?
Yeah, it'll
With
be
questions?
in the description. You can just click on it and send it right in. You don't gotta sign up or sign into any accounts. You can just send it anonymously, or you can put your name, whatever you want in there.
Wonderful. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. I might read the reviews if you do one. No one's did one yet. I'm waiting to read a review. Hit us up with one. And of course, please please also be sure to check out the Old Switch-a-roo Podcast. Mike, would you like to tell them any ways they can find or contact you guys?
Yeah, the easiest way to find us is theoldswitcheroo.com. That's theoldswitch-a-roo.com, or anywhere you find podcasts. We are also on YouTube, so you can find us there as well.
All right, boys, I believe that is another one under the belt. Episode 13 is done. Go ahead and tell everybody goodbye, my friends.
See ya.
Later, dudes.
Later.
Insert the closing line here. Goodbye. And the next time on Arcadiology, we have Crossed Swords. Why'd I say swords? Why'd I say it the way it's spelled?
Bro, why are you saying that so weird?
Why'd I say it the way it's spelled, dude? I
Take two.
All right.
Let Mike do it. Let Mike do it. You're messing
Mike,
us
you
all
got.
up.
Mike, take this away.